Tony Buzan, mind map inventor, once said, "Learning how to learn is life's most important skill." Along with this beautiful quote, he also called our today's guest, Dharmendra Rai, a genius. Yes. Let's see if you and I can pick something from this conversation and relearn how to simplify our thoughts and unstupid ourselves. Hi, I am Prashant Uttekar, a learning enthusiast, and you are listening to the Relearning podcast, where we have an expert, and this time it's Dharmendra Rai. He will break few myths around learning, and going back to basics, it will enable you and me to relearn. Dharmendra has launched his book titled as The Thin Mind Map Book, which will soon be on Amazon Prime Reading. He holds a world record for hosting most number of mind mapping seminars, which are around 380 plus and still counting. I'm sure we will have the correct number from Dharmendra himself, and this is well under 10 years. He received a UN award for mind mapping and brain literacy. We will get to that in just about some time. And also, he was recently interviewed for a podcast on mind mapping, which is making, that podcast is also making some records in itself. In fact, while writing this introduction, I realized if I just keep talking about his accomplishments, it would take all the time from my episode. So why don't I share the rest of the accolades via a link to Dharmendra's website? Right, and that will make it easier for me to just shut up and welcome my dear guest, Dharmendra Rai. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Prashant. Really looking forward to this. And I'm sure with your experience of doing such fantastic podcasts and your background in learning and unlearning, we're going to have millions of views.
I so wish this will work definitely for me and something that my podcast needs. So thank you for doing this. First things first, right? And people just like me who want to unstupid their thinking and thought process, we really want to know what is mind mapping and brain literacy.
Right. Mind mapping is a thinking tool. It's quite a simple thinking tool, which helps us think better. You can think of plenty of thinking tools. You can, I'm sure, visualize a Venn diagram.
Right, most of the time.
Visualize a flow chart.
Right.
Even a checklist. A checklist may not be that visual a thinking tool, but it's another thinking tool.
Right.
And thinking tools just help make thinking a million times better. So it's very baffling to me why more people don't realize the importance of thinking tools. So I've realized the importance of thinking tools. I think I would not have been able to make plenty of very important decisions if I did not have thinking tools. I wouldn't have been able to progress to the extent I have in life without these thinking tools.
Sure.
So it happens when you find something so exciting, you wonder why other people don't find it exciting. So then you get all excited about it and you want to share it. So that is the purpose of life.
I call it a movie effect, right? If I like a movie, I go tell 10,000 people, I write a post about it and everyone knows about it. It's exactly that. That's what you're trying to say?
Yes, absolutely. I can't understand how other people are not able to see that the smartest people in the world, the richest people in the world, the best business people in the world, the best students in the world are using thinking tools like mind mapping and others. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm a salesman for mind mapping, because I'm not. Mind mapping is just one small spark. You should get yourself exposed to mind mapping. If you don't like it, don't use it. But get exposed to the concept of using mental tools and to the concept of understanding how your brain works. That's brain literacy. That is the most surefire way of getting whatever you want, whether it's personal, whether it's social, whether it's financial, whether it's physical. That is the number one key to success today. And you don't have to take my word for it. If you are a fan of Yuval Harari, who's written plenty of books, his most famous book is Sapiens. If you haven't read Sapiens, then read directly his latest book, which is 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, because it always helps to read the latest book by an author, because he tends to express himself with modern examples and with simpler language.
Right.
And he talks about it that you have to learn how to learn. And he's spoken about 4 C's. So I'll just quickly tell you about
Sure.
the 4 C's before handing it over to you. 2 C's have to do with thinking, and 2
Okay.
C's have to do with communication. So the 2 C's that have to do with thinking, which relate directly to mind maps, are creativity
Right.
and critical thinking. Both can be enhanced drastically with mind maps. And the other 2 have to do with my other subject, that's invisible selling, which is communicating and collaborating. So I have not paid Yuval any money to endorse
I was about to say that.
it seems to be uncanny that he's indirectly promoting me, but that's absolutely been a fascination for me, and
I'm
it's
very
just a
curious to
coincidence.
know how this exchange has worked for you. Who's paid whom? Right. So I still can't fathom that. Both these are linked to your profile. And those of you who want to know more about Dharmendra Rai, this is just one topic that I've taken, which is on mind mapping and brain literacy. The other 2 C's on communication. And if you see his more videos and TED Talks, we'll get to that also in a while. You will see all the entire thing that he just spoke of, thinking and communication, is everything around that. So super. Like I said, I don't know who pays the royalty to whom, but yeah, it's working for you, man. That's for sure. Super. So you did talk about mind map and the benefits of mind map,
Yes.
but you didn't give anything away. So I want to put you on a spot there, and if possible, give me an example so that my listeners. Okay, I learn very slow, and that's why I started this podcast called as Relearning. So just help me with an example. How would this really work?
First of all, you just said something very critical there.
Yeah.
You said you learn slowly.
Yeah.
Most people in the world learn slowly. There is a huge artificial pressure exerted by the education system, which is very, very harmful. The education system and the spillover of that into corporate life and life in general is that you got to do plenty of things very fast. I think this is a disastrous idea. Think back in your life and look at what people like Warren Buffett have said. So
Yeah.
Warren Buffett has said this about investing, but it applies to life in general. Warren Buffett has said every human being should be born with a punch card.
True.
Just like you had factory workers with a punch card, so you know that they have attended the factory session.
Yeah. Punch in, punch out.
Yeah. So he suggested that every human being should have a punch card with only 20 punches possible. That means
Okay.
he can take only 20 investment decisions in his life.
Okay.
This way, he's going to focus on those 20. If I only have 20 investment decisions, then I'm really going to break my head over it. I'm going to be very, very careful before using them up because I
Right.
only have 20. So I want to take that analogy to your entire life and say that in your entire life, you have about 20 major decisions. For example, do you choose to believe in God or not? Do you choose to believe in the concept of marriage or not? Whom will you marry? Which company will you join? Who will be your boss? Should you buy a house or rent a house? Because a house is probably going to be your biggest financial transaction in your entire life.
Right.
So these are about 20 investment decisions or 20 major decisions. And there's
Okay.
no hurry, right? It's only 20 in your entire life. So why is there this artificial need to do things fast when the risk of doing something wrong here can seriously handicap you for your entire life? So,
True.
so especially with big decisions, you've got to take things slowly. You've got to ignore what third-rate crooked trainers and crooked motivational trainers. If a person is a motivational trainer, I consider him to be a crooked guy anyway. But just for the sake of clarity,
Sure.
crooked motivational trainers are
Sure.
trying to implant these concepts in your life like 100 places to see before you die. Hey, have you even seen one place properly? 100 books to read before you die. At least read 10 books properly. And how
Or one
to
to
read
begin
100
with.
books in a year? At least read one book properly in a year. Where's the hurry to read 100
True.
books? So it's all rubbish. And got to be very careful that you don't get carried away by the concept of useless speed.
Super. Thank you. Sure.
Okay, so now I got to come to
I
your...
still haven't got. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you. This is insightful for me at a personal level for sure. But I'm not going to get away with let you go away without giving an example of mind mapping. So let's see how it works, and our listeners will understand how it works. So let's go on. Go on. Shoot.
Yeah, so a mind map is a visual tool. So I did not think that going into the details of a mind map and showing you the visual of a mind map would be appropriate for this platform. So for that,
Absolutely.
people can read my book. It's available for free on Amazon Kindle Unlimited right now. And I expect it to be available for free for all Amazon Prime members from 1st September.
Fair enough.
So
From 1st of September.
From 1st September. I can talk about a mind map, but I can't be very precise because this is not the platform for that. But it's a visual thinking tool which uses pictures, which has an emphasis on using single words rather than full sentences.
Sure.
And which emphasizes writing things down or drawing things. That is, taking things out of your mind and putting it on paper, which has incredible amount of value. Now, if I were to just talk about visual thinking, any amount of increase that you do in your visual thinking to improve your thinking, to improve your life, is too less. I'm going to give you an example here which will just show you how visual thinking and putting things on paper in a visual format can make life 1,000,000 times easier.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a puzzle.
Okay.
Imagine you have a rectangular piece of wood.
Okay, just before we get there,
Yeah.
my listeners, if you're with us,
Yeah.
let's do this together. I mean, why me? Why should I suffer alone? Let's do this together.
Yeah, so after this, I'm going to suggest how they crack it. So I was going to give instructions to everybody.
Super, okay.
So imagine right now, just hear this out. Do not put anything in writing just now.
Okay.
So that you can see the contrast. Imagine you got a rectangular piece of wood. You cut it into two pieces, where one piece is 3 times the size of the smaller piece. Focus on the smaller piece. Cut it in such a way that the bigger piece is 2 times the size of the smaller piece. Now the smallest piece is 8 square inches. So what's the size of the initial block of wood that we started with? Now, unless you're Einstein...
That's the time we have for the podcast. Thank you, Dharmendra. You've been... Hey, I didn't know that, I wasn't prepared for a maths man. Dharmendra, don't do that to me.
Okay, so for people who are listening, if they think they're so smart, they can actually solve this in their head, please pause and come back. So I'm sure you lose that part of the audience.
There you go.
I'm sure that
please come back.
That audience will come back after 10 years and say, okay, I solved this.
Okay.
So you get a lot of views. You see a certain spurt of views on YouTube after 10 years. See,
super. But you know what? Let's play this, right? So if you're listening to this and if you want to pause it, please pause. Give an answer in the comment section wherever you're listening this, or probably mail it to us. I'll leave the contact details to us.
Yeah.
And we believe you, we trust you. So no need to share a screenshot, but let's go on with it. Sure, more than happy to get that.
No, so I'm going to now suggest you do it visually, and I'm going to repeat the problem, And I'm sure by the time I finish talking about the problem, see, if you're visualizing it, the answer will just pop up from the sheet of paper. That's how powerful visual thinking is. So I'm not going to give you the answer. You'll get the answer yourself, and later on you can bounce the answer off me offline, and I'll tell you whether that's the right answer, but it's obvious. So I'm going to repeat the problem, and this time please make a vision.
Okay, so that means I'll use a pen and paper.
Yeah, but don't tell me the answer right now, because this is it's much better this way. Because then if you give away the answer, then the thrill for the rest of the guys is gone.
Sure.
So you can give me the answer after the podcast.
And I can just sound smart by saying that I got it.
Yeah, and you can tell me the answer later on offline.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat this, and you can now start making a visual as soon as I speak.
Perfect.
You got a rectangular block of wood.
Right.
You cut it in such a way that one piece is 3 times the size of the smaller piece. Focus on the smaller piece now. You cut it in such a way that one piece is twice the size of the smaller piece. Now focus on the smallest piece that you got. That is 8 inches square. So the question is, what was the size of the rectangular wooden stick or board to begin with? I'm sure, like I said, most people, if they need to pause it just now and come back after 10 seconds, I'm sure 99% of them would have cracked it. But anyway, what was your experience without giving away the answer?
Oh, I'll see. I'm very good at sounding smart. Oh, I got it. So, but I cannot reveal it because it's a podcast, right? So let people get to the end, and then probably we can have the big reveal. But thanks. This is going to be very interesting, and I think this is the first time I'm doing an activity on a podcast. This is going to go nuts. So people are going to go nuts with this. Yeah. But so, thanks for bringing a maths problem to me.
Yeah. But if I can interrupt here.
Sure.
The focus is not so much on being right as using this, because when you use this, you realize how important it is, and then you use it again and again, and then you get better and better, and then you tend to be right.
Yeah.
So I want your inputs as to what is the difference. The first time you heard this, you were not using a visual tool, and the second time you were visualizing it on paper. So what do you think was the difference in the processes that went on in your mind?
So first things first, right? I had a history of what I just did, because first time without the book or any pen and paper, I was just doing mental notes. So obvious that I was forgetting the previous or the old ones. Like you said, you should read the recent book. This exactly is the analogy from there. So I could recall the first smaller portion. After that, the rest was forgotten. That there's a 2/3 there. And then every new instruction let me forget the previous instruction and history. And I think that created a chaos, because at the end you gave measurements in literal inches or 8 inches square feet. So that was the challenge, at least for me.
Yeah, so if I were to explain that in scientific terms, what is going on is that there was a tremendous load on your working memory.
Okay.
Your working memory is the memory or the information that's being used at a particular time. So you needed to use lots of pieces of information at one time. And that's very difficult for the human brain to do. There's a scientist called George Miller in 1956 who invented the rule of 7, plus or minus 2.
Okay.
He said the human brain can keep 7 bits of information in the mind. Some can keep 5, some can keep 9, but beyond that, they just lose it all. It becomes extremely complicated to.
And if you ask my wife, I'm at the very least category where I don't know. It's very too less. Okay.
Yeah. But I think George Miller was wrong. I think the new rule today in a distracted age is 1. It's not 7.
You bet. And given the circumstances, right, Dharmendra, and I'm not even kidding, I tend to speak of this quite often at many occasions, that have a rule of 3. What I mean by that is, And even let's say, and I do a lot of consultancy around resume, careers, or even for my team, I only tell them talk about three things that people should know. Four is too much, two is too less. Out of that, even if he goes back with one, that's good enough. You've done your job. But don't give me a good amount of history, civics, geography. But yeah, what you said makes sense. The rule of seven, and we had a live example about the instructions. And these instructions are very simple, by the way, about the rectangle. Do it, and you gave it very slowly, very precisely, very accurately. But still, and again, there could be one problem that my brain and me is just lazy. That is another given. So I'll give you that exception as well, Dharmendra.
That's not unique to you. Everybody's brain is lazy. To use the brain consumes a lot of energy. So
Yeah,
it's a universal thing.
you are just being kind. Thank you. Superb. I think that was a perfect demo in terms of how do you educate your brain. And this is your long answer for brain literacy. Is that right?
This is one of the ways I've demonstrated about how you should not feel embarrassed or ashamed when you're seeking mental help. We have a problem in our culture. If
Yeah.
there is some physical work to be done, we have no problem using tools. If you got to
Yeah.
climb up to the 10th floor of a building, it's a no-brainer that if an elevator is available, you're going to use that elevator. If you see somebody
like
not
that.
using that elevator, you'll say, oh, this guy's an idiot or he's just showing off.
Showing off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
But if people come to a meeting,
Yeah.
or let me put this in a question answer format, which is, it's a very
Sure.
easy question for you to answer. Just think of all the meetings that you've attended in your life. And for the sake of
Sure.
simplicity, let's keep it business meetings. Okay, and just give me an intuitive answer. You don't really have to think too much.
Sure.
In what percentage of those meetings was everybody in that meeting jotting notes down? Okay, so I'm going to repeat my question. Out of
Sure.
all the business meetings you've attended in your life, thousands,
Right.
in what percentage of the meetings was everybody who was present in the meeting jotting things down? Just shoot off
There'll
a
be zero.
zero.
There'll be
Absolutely.
zero meeting. Yeah. Because no. And you're right. And more than ever, everybody's on webinar now, right?
Yeah.
So all the 1,000 meetings would have happened in the last couple of weeks. And even if I take a insight or I don't sit with pen and paper for all the meetings.
Yeah,
Right? So
I'm
I'm
sitting
talking
with
for
pen and
myself
paper
at
right
least.
now.
Oh, even I'm making it. There you go. No, but you're right. Not possible. Not done by everyone in the meeting for sure.
And
Yeah.
if a person
Tools. Yeah.
regularly uses a pen and paper, what will people talk about him?
Oh, he will always be the chamcha, right? He will be always
Okay.
like the school kid who's sitting on the first bench, always taking notes and listening and taking notes. But he'll be always effective because he'll have the answers ready. He doesn't have to depend on his memory because everything is out there.
Yeah, but what is the impression he'll form on the people who are not using notes? Generally, say you have 10 people in a room and only one guy is taking down notes. The nine people have come in without a pen and paper.
Oh, he will be assumed to send the MOMs. That's for sure, and he'll be expected to remember everything. That's for sure.
Okay, but will they respect him or will they make fun of him?
Oh, obviously he'll be the bullied guy, right?
Yeah,
Because,
exactly.
He's the odd man out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they make fun
The
of
guy
him.
will be bullied.
They'll say, "Are you so
all the time.
stupid? You can't even remember a few facts and figures."
इतना याद नहीं रहता है.
That's
10 मिनट का तो मीटिंग है.
yeah, that's stupid, right? Because the remaining 9 people think they're so smart, they can not only understand what's going on, they can also memorize what's going on. That's why most
And they
meetings
will
are wasting
expect
time.
they will expect you to memorize and अरे तेरे तो हुआ था. But not forgetting the fact that there were too many things before and after, right?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
it is a deep mental task. If you want to not waste time in your business life, in your life in general, then you take these things seriously.
Very interesting. And again, I think this is relearning pen and paper. And my go-to quote for this is don't depend on your memory. A pen and paper can go much longer than, and don't trust your memory for all times. Right?
Yeah, there's a
In
Chinese
fact,
saying, the palest ink is better than the strongest memory.
strongest memory. Perfect. In fact, you spoke something about being stupid, right? And the title of this episode is also Unstupid. Very interesting. This is, and I was just talking to you about this yesterday. There's no word like unstupid. Unstupid yourself. Uh, so, is this what you're saying when you said, let's keep this title, Unstupid Yourself? Basically, you are bullied because you have an efficient way. In this scenario, this guy who's making notes, he has an efficient way of memorizing, and you don't need to memorize. It's there on the pen and paper. But people bully you because the decorum, and they're not used to something like that. So is that one of the ways you're saying unstupid yourself?
Yeah, so first of all, it just shows that there's a huge amount of brain illiteracy. This guy should be making fun of the remaining nine, saying that you earn a salary and you're so stupid. I'm surprised you're even earning a salary. You don't deserve to get a salary. That's the way it should be. And unstupid yourself is only up to an extent. Ultimately, you cannot unstupid yourself because we just don't have the brains to not be stupid. You can just slightly reduce your stupidity. So that's why
I like what you did there. I liked what you did there with we don't have the brains to unstupid yourself. Okay, super.
Yeah, because there are too many facts and figures. Our brain is hit with so much data that most of the data is just processed by our unconscious brain. So quiz time again for everybody. Just take a guess, and I'm going to give you the answer now. So please take a guess, and please let everybody know. And whoever's listening to this, please take a guess yourself.
Sure, and listeners, there are no prizes or giveaways for this. Okay, so all the giveaway your brain will tell you if it's good, not happy, sad. Just choose yourself. Sure, go ahead.
No, the prize is they're going to get smarter. So.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, so just take a guess. So I want to make this two questions because this is really funny.
Sure.
It again is an example of brain literacy.
Sure.
If you were to search Google about the unconscious brain in images, or you were to ask people, when you think of the concept of the unconscious brain, one image is sure to come to your mind. What do you think is the image that comes to most people's minds?
They would just get the brain picture.
Okay, that's one, but there is something else. That picture has been put in real bad books about the subconscious brain and the unconscious brain, and that visual is very, very powerful, though it's wrong. So you want to take another go?
No, why don't I Google and check? Wait, let's do it right away. Subconscious brain.
Yeah, and look at images.
Okay, let me just do this.
So the frequency may have changed because the algorithms keep changing. But
okay, so this gives me everything like power of brain, subconscious brain. It gives me information about the brain. It gives me right brain, left brain, details about the brain.
In images?
It doesn't in the images.
Okay. I'm sure in the first page there will be an image of something related to the ocean.
I think I study this topic quite a lot, so maybe it has put the algorithm in a better way. Oh, there is an iceberg for sure. There is an iceberg. I notice an iceberg for sure. Yes.
That's it. Okay. Yeah. So now you know how horribly wrong that picture is.
Yeah.
So the last question about the subconscious mind. What percentage of your brain do you think you use consciously?
Is there a personal answer that I can give, or I should check with my wife?
No, just just give me an intuitive answer.
3%.
3%. Okay. Now just think of an exponentially lower number.
Exponentially lower number. Let's go with...
It's not personal. This is,
No.
I'm talking about
See,
universal
Derry.
figures.
So you're saying averages, right? So I don't know what is less than 3, right? 1 or minus, I don't know.
Exponentially lower.
Point 0000. I'm just checking your reactions on the zeros that I'm adding.
Okay,
Zero,
so
no?
you're very
Okay.
close. You're very close. It's 0,
Really?
0.0
0,
0
0,
0
0.
4.
God help us. So point ke baad 3 zeros and 4.
So it's very easy
Now
to
I know
remember.
why I'm doing this podcast. Okay. So what you're saying is 0.0004% times is how our brain is used.
Percent. 0.0004% of our brain is being used consciously because there is so much data around us that if
Right.
we were to try to understand it and analyze it consciously, we would just die because it would require too much energy from our bodies. The brain is just about 2% of the body's weight, but it uses about 25% of the body's energy. 25% by using only 0.0004. So just imagine you use it slightly more, and suddenly the rest of your organs will be deprived of energy, and you're dead.
Good Lord. And like I said, God help us. And there are 2 things that I want to ask you. I'll probably check with you. So when with these tools, it helps us, and simple a visual tool of a pen and paper, and I make notes. Let's continue with that example. This helps because I don't use much energy. I have something which is in print or probably written down. So that is one, right? And second is a movie called as Limitless. Okay, it's a movie. It's been there since quite some time now.
Yeah, I've
And
seen
this
that.
movie is
I've
around.
seen that.
You've seen it.
It's good entertainment.
So it's good entertainment, but it's fantasy, man, and it's crazy. And I like the side effect of that movie also. The cons that they show later. That it's, if you don't have that tablet, which is a booster for you, only God can help you. Or actually, nobody can help you physically, mentally, or any in any form. So yeah, and yes, of course, it's dramatized and good entertainment for sure. But yeah, that's the first go-to thought that I had when you mentioned about the percentage of brain that is used. Interesting.
No, so it's very good that you brought up that, because there are plenty of frauds selling all kinds of pills.
Yeah.
And some memory pill, and I think 2 of the biggest, most popular drugs are Ritalin and Adderall.
Okay.
Which are used by students in a big way, and they have terrible side effects. So I would strongly suggest that unless you have some really huge medical problem and you have a prescription by a very good doctor, be very, very careful. Do not use these apparently
These are
brain
basically
enhancing drugs.
memory enhancing tools. Oh, okay.
Attention. So people who are giving exams want to cram late night, and they want to use this, they want to use Red Bull. Well, Red Bull is making a lot of money. But I would strongly suggest you be very, very careful.
Very interesting. My personal go-to, my personal go-to drink or something to have longer duration and attentiveness. Forget attentiveness. To be just in charge is black coffee, and it works for me. Maybe it's mental. I don't know how. There are 2. Either it's black coffee or simple lime juice without sugar, without salt, and it works with me. I don't know how it works, but it does.
Yeah, these are pretty mild. Sugar would be a problem, but if you're having coffee without sugar, obviously there's a limit. But if you have 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day, there are plenty of people who've done that and not really suffered.
Yeah. No, cool, and thanks for this. This has been insightful for me. I don't know, when I walk out of this room, my wife will see a different me, hopefully. But on that note, let's go to and continue this thought of thinking, because you mentioned pretty interesting words in terms of you know the amount of percentage your brain is used.
Mhm.
So, but that is very well connected to thinking.
Yes, of course.
So, how does one relearn this? How does one relearn thinking?
I would using words like relearn and unlearn is very nice because it's catchy, but scientifically,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be focusing on that. As long as you're learning something new, which is better compared to what you have in your memory, which is worse, then the bad things that you've learned in the past will automatically be unlearned because you need to do a lot of repetition to move something into long-term memory. And if you stop doing repetition, then slowly it fades from your long-term memory. So it's not
Interesting.
an active process. It is better that you just ignore the wrong concepts that you've learned in the past rather than give a command to your brain that I have to unlearn this. Just focus on new things that you got to learn, and automatically unlearning will happen. The hippocampus in when you are in deep sleep
Yeah.
every day keeps on cleaning the brain. So you can't do that deliberately.
So, like a good host, I've just said yeah to the hippocampus. So, like I'm showing off that I know about it. But that's cool. So, go ahead and search hippocampus on Google search, guys.
Yeah, it's just part of the brain that stores long-term memories.
Cool. Like I said, there's lots to take away from this, and you touched an important aspect of unlearning and relearning, and don't use it so easily. My take on that is a little different, right? And I use this quite often. Keep the flesh, throw the bones. What sticks with you, go ahead with it. What's latest? Basically, it's more towards synthesize. There are many things that are around us. What you take from it, superb. If you don't take from it, anyways, you didn't take from it. So forget about it.
Yeah.
Move on, and that's it. And there are many ways that we call it: unlearn, relearn. And I was having this conversation with a friend. He said, "You know what? It's simply what matters to you now is what is with you. Let's say I learned the ABC. I never learned fonts in my school, but now what you and you might call it relearn, unlearn, relearn, but ABC concept is still ABC concept. There's nothing different around that. Just like
Yeah.
meetings used to happen now, and now it's webinar.
Yeah.
So the titles are fancy, but stick with what you have, and what's relevant, what sticks with you is yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my take.
Yeah. Only
I'm sure-
unlearning is not an active process. You can't tell a person, okay, now forget your name. Or
Exactly.
forget that this guy was that all happens only in Hindi movies. हम दोनों के बीच जो भी हुआ भूल जाओ, कल से हम नया संसार शुरू करेंगे, वो सब नहीं होता है.
That's a good one. Superb. Okay, superb, and I've got that as well. What so besides the visual tools, I also read that there are some tools online as well, which a lot of corporates used, a lot of individuals use to simplify this entire process. I have personally used some of these tools in brainstorming sessions as well when we were dabbling on some ideas. So, any recommended or go-to tools? And then this clearly shows I haven't read your book.
Mind maps is one of the best tools for brainstorming. In fact,
Yeah.
a chief executive of one of the biggest cosmetics companies in the world had attended a session of mine. He is not permitted me to use his name because the income tax department may stop going after Riya Chakravarti and start going after him instead.
Okay.
So he used the brainstorming that I taught him in a business meeting with his sales team, and he's giving me a written testimonial that in one meeting, just one meeting, he was able to add more than 20 crores as a very specific statement to the bottom line.
Wow.
Okay, it's not some hype like valuation or top top line or revenue or all these
Right.
tricky terms
Right.
that people use to fool investors, like GMV, gross merchandise value. I mean, that's just sales, right? So, so that's how powerful mind maps
True.
can be. And the brainstorming, the technical definition of brainstorming is the brainstorming process as suggested by Alex Osborne. Alex Osborne suggested
Yeah.
this in the 1950s, where you have a group of people and one man comes in as a moderator and he says, okay,
Yeah.
now we are not going to judge all of you, just shoot off your ideas and we'll collect ideas and at the end we will evaluate those ideas. And I'm so shocked that Alex Osborne is even mentioned today because he seemed to be absolutely zero in human psychology. Because people don't think in a meeting. A meeting is good for elimination, it's good for clarification. A meeting is not a
Right.
place for thinking. You can't think because you have too many other things in your mind. Your bosses in front of you, your competitors in front of you, somebody who's trying to get your promotion, who's trying to eat your lunches in front of you. You have all those factors going on in a meeting. So in a meeting, you can't really brainstorm. So you can brainstorm with a mind map. You should brainstorm alone. Ideally, if you can keep your mobile and laptop away and lock yourself in a room and use a mind map, that's the best way to get the best ideas. So I can't again elaborate more than this because
You're saying keep the distractions away
distractions
as far as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, very interesting. This takes back to a lot of coaching that I do because that's the first thing that I do. Disassociate, divorce is the right word. That's what I normally loosely use. Divorce your electronic gadgets because uh, it's too much distraction for anything. You can't focus, or focus again is a loosely used term, but you cannot give your time to yourself for that thought. So let's build on that. But
Yeah.
thanks, and again plugging your book here, the thin mind map book. It's very going to be soon out on Prime. Any dates? You said 1st of September. So by the time we release this episode, Dharmendra, this will be 14th of September, and I'm sure by then millions of readers have read this, and probably they will sound much more brighter and smarter than the way I am sounding right now. But sure, we will surely get there.
It's available on Amazon Kindle Unlimited right now for free. Prime is an additional source. People who don't
Right.
have Kindle Unlimited,
yeah.
they will also get it on Prime. So whether you're on Prime, whether you're in Kindle Unlimited, you can read it anywhere.
Or just go and download this book and have and as the title says, it's a thin book.
Yeah, and if you want to read it for free, then you'll have to read it on that app. You won't be able to download
Yeah.
it.
Sure, fantastic. And if you've seen Dharmendra's website, it's crazy, right? Because there are so many records which I have not mentioned. There are so many things that he keeps doing. And if you really want to know him, just follow him on LinkedIn. That's one place where he will know. I'm not talking, and I'm not even kidding, that he will not have a day's post. He will have many posts that things have happened during the day. And these are not things that, things like I do, that I attended this webinar and I'm going to other one. No, these are accomplishments. Like I saw recently, he did a podcast and there was a proper series about it. Then there are some awards and rewards. There are so many notable people that he meets. On the sites, there is a million plus views on his YouTube channel. So there is so much happening around you, Dharmendra. My question to you is, how do you go back and read your own thoughts in this chaos? And this is a situation for everyone. So much happening around you. How do you use the tools that we just spoke of?
So I use mind maps a lot for the very thing that we've discussed. That's brainstorming. What should I do before a webinar? What should we do during a webinar? What should we do after a webinar? All that is totally listed down as a checklist after mind mapping. So it's one could think of this as a very minor use, but I don't think it's a minor use because if you keep on doing webinars and you don't do them properly, you're just wasting your time. So I think you got to sacrifice a lot. You can't just be blinded by strategies that other people are doing. You have to look at your situation. And plenty of people are blindly just copying what large companies are doing. And large companies have billions of dollars to spend. So large companies are doing SEO, they're doing Google ads. Maybe it makes sense for them, but for individuals, for companies who are very hard-nosed about profits, they don't make any sense at all. So, in fact, it's quite easy for me to not get distracted. And my strategy is to do lots of things at a low cost that I think makes sense.
Right.
And then increase the investment into strategies that work.
Very interesting.
And this is what I'm suggesting everybody. Do lots of things at a low cost. If you're going to do one or two things which have a heavy cost and they fail, then your business is gone.
Yeah. And I also notice besides us, there is a crow who's making his, who's making his appearance on the podcast also. So clearly there's a croaking crow, and I will ensure I give him credits in the description as well. Okay, fair enough, and thank you for doing this. There are some questions that we have which are beyond brain literacy and mind mapping, and these are more about you personal. So I hope that's okay, and we can take some time on these as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like Karan Johar's rapid fire.
I don't want to go by that, but sure, let's call it that. So you don't have any time to think, okay?
So you're going to ask me who's the best actress, Katrina, Kareena or Kangana?
Oh boy, no. I might need a mind map for that. So we're definitely not going there. Okay. But sure, and again, this is about you, right? So don't think much. Whatever comes top of your mind, just give that answer. Okay. I don't want you to write anything right now. So show me your hands first, so that we know that you're not making a mind map. And by now you're such an expert. I don't know how you do this. So let's see. So what is the strangest or the weirdest thing you did while attending a meeting or a webinar? And in your case, probably hosting a seminar. Weirdest, strangest.
There was a multinational company.
Uh-huh.
So this was not done during the session, but it's related to something that happened during the session.
Okay.
I did a session for a multinational company in Bangalore.
Uh-huh.
It was organized by a partner, and they have a weird system where participants send you feedback.
Okay.
The participants send the feedback to the trainer, and the trainer is supposed to respond to that feedback.
For every feedback?
As much as possible.
Okay.
So my partner said, this is the feedback from them. So can you give your comments in writing? So feedback on the feedback.
Okay.
So I'm when it comes to my work, I don't take myself seriously, but I take my work very seriously. If somebody makes a loose comment about my work, I'm going to tear him to pieces. If I'm at fault, I'll admit immediately that I'm at fault. But if somebody talks some nonsense like, oh, this is not backed by research, when I've said it's backed by research, I'm going to cut him to pieces. So there was some really funny feedback. One feedback was, the training should have happened in a better venue.
Oh, now, that's my go-to response. Yeah.
No, I didn't decide the venue. The training happened in the head office of that company, and I have no say. As a trainer, I don't decide the venue. So what's the point of giving me that feedback? So I wrote back. I said, I'm going to cut this guy to pieces. So I wrote back.
So you're expected to reply to this feedback as a feedback.
In writing.
Very interesting.
In writing. Okay. So I responded, good feedback. Next time we'll do it in Taj. And you know why that happens, right? Why venue question also is there. People are just sleeping. I'm very happy this COVID thing has happened and people are taking their careers more seriously now. Otherwise, they're taking things for granted. After 1992, most Indians have not seen any bad period but today. They've had a relaxed life. The middle class, 200 million people, they've had an easy life. So they're taking train casually. Now they're waking up.
So this question, right? It's very interesting, and I recall some very funny incidents around the venue question and the responses you get. So even if you do a session, let's say Taj in this scenario, people still will be unhappy with food, and I can't fathom, like you said, I mean, if you get a feedback for a feedback and which is a venue as a comment, you lose your mind, right? But this has happened in many sessions, and the reason that it is, right. And when I did a little study, right? So then I realized people consider, at least in the times when people used to go for trainings, as a time off from work. So if it's my time off from work, I need the best of food. I need the best of AC temperatures. If you notice, people are very picky choosy about AC temperatures, and the entire session, the admin guy would come, increase, decrease, all these things to make them conducive for learning.
Yeah.
Are the biggest feedback achievers or non-achievers or 5 rating or those? It is not even funny. It's
but
crazy.
You
But
can
you're
give
right.
that feedback. If you don't like the food, give the feedback. But give it to the person who is responsible for the food. I'm not responsible for the venue. Why is he wasting everybody's time? So that's what. Sometimes you wonder, how is this guy getting a salary? What's
How is he still holding to his job?
Yeah.
Okay, that became a long answer. But anyways, I'm trying you. It's probably my first time as a host, so let's go on with it. Dharmendra, if you had one superpower, what would that be and why?
I would.
Take one. Okay, there you go.
I would have loved the entire world to be like one country, and then I would have loved to be the chief executive or the president of that country.
Okay, superb. And why?
Then the first thing I would implement is universal basic income for the
Universal basic
income.
income.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
So this is a concept where the people who are genuinely poor are given a certain monthly payment. That's it. They don't have to work for that money.
Exactly.
They get it because they're poor, and we would find a way to scientifically pinpoint these people so no freeloaders come on board.
Yeah.
I think the time for universal basic income has come. The more we delay, the more misery, the more deaths, the more depressions, the more heart problems, the more health problems the planet is going to face. So this has been started by some future-looking governments, and it's been there in various forms. So the US has unemployment benefits, and the UK has NHS. Remove all these inefficient systems, replace them with a universal basic income, and I think most of the problems in the world will just disappear. So people will not be incentivized to commit crimes to feed their families. They will not have to take a job they hate just because they want to earn money. They can look for a job that they really like, and all. And I think massive difference would happen.
I like that answer. One country and you become okay. In that also you become the CEO, so that everyone is managed appropriately. I'll share a thought which Sheetal shared in the first episode, and she was talking. So listeners, do check out Sheetal's episode, which is her first episode, and it's an episode about don't be yourself, and she mentions about Indian organizations, especially, are very hierarchical, right? There is a head, and there are heads, and there are people. And thanks to lockdown, everybody's on this small little window of this webinar. So where is the hierarchy, right? And it's very simple analogy, but it makes so much sense, right? It's the same. Connectivity is probably same, but yeah, everybody's in this small little laptop. There is no huge cubicle. Everyone is here, and that has taught a beautiful lesson, just like the country example that you gave. And did you know? Fun fact: I just read that passports are merely around 50 years old.
Okay.
And so before that, I can't fathom imagining that there were no passports before 50 years. That means movement was so easy. That means there was there could have been one country or one large piece which could have been possible. But a very good answer. Thank you for that. That's your superpower. And one country is a great idea. Talking about this, continuing this thought, right? If you had an access to time machine, where would you go and why?
I would go to the time when the first school was established.
Okay.
Because the education system in all the countries, not just India, is so crappy, it's so pathetic. And plenty of people, they don't use their brains, it's just copying what's been done in the past.
Yeah.
So go to the first school, let them train on less number of subjects, but in greater depth, and a lot of emphasis on brain literacy and a lot of emphasis on physical training, because ultimately that boosts brain literacy as well. That boosts your brain power.
Sure.
So this revamping, for reasons best known to others, it just doesn't seem to be happening. Everybody is just stuck. The reforms just don't seem to be happening. So if I could fix it at the origin,
right at the beginning.
Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense.
That's a good answer.
And it makes small kids wear ties and shorts. What is going on?
you brought some very painful memories back, man. So I didn't understand why. And so I understand. So I'm from Army Public School, Pune, right?
Okay.
I understand. There's a very good reason for someone in North to wear a jacket, tie, because it's cold.
Yeah.
How would someone in Pune, in summer heat, forget Pune, Mumbai, or anywhere south, why would they wear a tie? Because it's so hot, it's 40 degrees outside. Why would you wear this? It doesn't make sense. And it's not like these days the schools are AC and all. We had an army barrack, and it's amazing. I'm not no complaints there. But why would you not be comfortable when you're learning something?
Yeah.
So yeah. I have my qualms set up with the education system, but I like your idea of going back to the first school and change a bit, so everyone is okay thereafter. And the last one, Dharmendra, is that what is your recommendation for a podcast, book, or a TV series that you're watching, or reading, or listening?
After suggesting my own, you can go to my YouTube channel.
I forgot to put the disclaimer. Besides your own, because you have all three, right? I'm not sure about the series though, but yeah, I'm sure that's also a work in progress.
From the viewpoint of brain literacy, I think one of the best books is, it's not by me, it's the Mind Map book by Tony Buzan, who's the inventor of mind maps, and we spoke about him at the beginning. And from the viewpoint of the science of influence or invisible selling or behavioral economics, I think the best book is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman.
Thinking Fast and Slow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I must just warn the audience that Thinking Fast and Slow is a very big book. So again, we need to revisit what we spoke about in the beginning. You don't need to consume it in a day. You can read one chapter in a month, but read that chapter inside out.
कोई competition नहीं है, कोई race नहीं है. Take it easy, let it live that chapter, and then move.
Absolutely.
Okay, these are good recommendations. I have a selfish interest in the podcast that I do, right? And that is the reason I started this. I want to learn, and in my own terms, relearn. Yeah. And then that's the reason we are doing this, man. And you've been really gracious in doing this.
Thank you for doing it. Thank you for inviting me.
When I reached out, you just had a query, or I don't think you had a query. You decided the time first, and then you asked me the relevant questions. Thank you so much for doing this, Dharmendra. I look forward to many conversations. I think this calls for some more episodes, because this was just one part of what you do, and there are many things that you do, right? So I surely look forward to catch up with you and seek help, and maybe some maths tuitions as well. But yeah, that'll happen soon.
Great, thanks a lot. I'm sure you're going to have tons of visitors, tons of viewers from various parts of the world. because this is an absolute need of the hour.
Sure.
Uh, you can listen to any major thought leader anywhere in the world. Yuval Harari is from the academic side. You can listen to Jeff Bezos. You can listen to Elon Musk. You can listen to the late Steve Jobs. Creativity is one of the most critical things, and ultimately, it's all these guys are where they are because they've understood the power of thinking differently and thinking better.
Sure. Superb. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best for anything and everything that you do. And you do so much. Just follow Dharmendra on LinkedIn, guys. I'll leave his contact details in the description. Cheers.
Sure. Thank you.